The Thunder have taken the NBA by storm. For the first time, the NBA champion resides in Oklahoma City. The storybook season is complete.
Oklahoma has a true team and not just a winner. These guys represent all that's good. At a young age, they prioritize winning, they prioritize sacrifice, and this just kind of unfolded very quickly. But you have to give the credit to the guys, and we're super grateful to have these guys representing us.
They behave like champions. They compete like champions. They root for each other's success, which is rare in professional sports. I've said it many times. I'm going to say it one more time. This is an uncommon team, and now they're champions.
This isn't just a win for me. This is a win for my family. This is a win for my friends. This is a win for everybody that was in my corner growing up. This is a win for the fans, the best fans in the world. I love you guys.
I've been through so much personally this year, not only the hip, but other things playing too. I'm proud of these guys for holding it down while I was out. I'm proud of myself for never quitting. Broken bones, bruises, it's all temporary, but this is forever. Let's go.
Welcome back to the Daily Thunder podcast. I'm John Napier, publisher of Daily Thunder, and I'll be your host today. Alongside me is Daily Thunder beat writer Brandon Rabar. Brandon, how are you on this day after the Thunder won a championship?
I'm doing fantastic. I am actually recording this now while walking around downtown OKC around the Paycom. I'm just kind of soaking it all in. It's just kind of a surreal feeling, John. The Thunder are NBA champions. Yesterday at this time, they were not. Today, a banner will forever hang in Oklahoma City. Really, really cool feeling, man.
If you just stayed there the whole time, you just were so excited they won a championship, you couldn't let it go, and so you just spent the night at the Paycom?
Yeah, I just shacked up. Loud City. Wasn't very comfortable, but hey, here we are. Actually, it felt like that, though. I was at the arena soaking it all in last night, like getting to go down on the court and in the locker room and just kind of soaking up the atmosphere. It's one of those feelings, I think, whether you're a fan, a reporter, a player, a coach, just soaking it all in and enjoying it all. I think you got to do it. Enjoy this time, Thunder fans.
And I imagine many of our listeners were probably at the game, but it only holds 18,203 people. And maybe we start there. Describe the experience in the arena during the game, especially in that first half where it was a little bit closer, and then the emotions in that second half, in that third quarter when the Thunder put the clamps on defensively and went on a run. Describe the experience.
Okay. The atmosphere was incredible last night. Of course, this is Loud City. Of course, they brought it. It was loud as always. But that first half when the Pacers, were hanging around and they actually took the lead on that Nembhard 3 right before the half, there was obviously some nervous energy in the building, I would say. But in that third quarter, when the Thunder went on that run, the electricity in the building, the excitement in the building, this is the biggest sports event in not only Thunder history, but in Oklahoma State history. And it just felt like there was so much on the line. But the crowd was electric. And, when the Thunder ended up winning the game and the celebration, so much excitement in that building. It was definitely a feeling, if you were in that building last night or watching on TV, hopefully, that you'll just never forget.
And what about post-game, or maybe the final minutes where the Thunder were running out the clock, they won the championship, confetti rained out, the celebration began. Walk us through the immediate aftermath of the win and then all of the post-game celebration. What was it like from your perspective?
Yeah, from my perspective, just that feeling of knowing that the Thunder had finally did it. Like after all those years of being so close and like kind of the ups and downs of, this Thunder team that we've seen throughout the years. I just think being in that building at that moment during that celebration, just just the excitement from everybody. It's like you watch Adam Silver give the Larry O'Brien to Clay Bennett, and he holds it up, and SGA comes up and speaks, and Sam Presti and Mark Daignault, and it just felt like this sense of community, like this pride, being in the building. All these, Thunder fans that have been with this team for so long. It was it was a special feeling being in that building during that celebration.
And would you agree it was maybe beneficial and a blessing that the Thunder lost Game 6?
I would. Yeah. Now looking back on it now, obviously everybody wanted to win Game 6, close it out, not have to worry and stress at Game 7 where anything could happen. But now looking back in hindsight, absolutely much better to win it at home because the celebration being in that building compared to what it would have been like in Indiana on their home court. I mean, it's night and day. Kind of made me think of that, like, teams that have won the title on the road, like the feeling in that building, you can't replace it. And no, it's absolutely so much better that they ended up winning it in Game 7 instead of 6.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit about the game and break it down, but certainly I think the game experience, running through the historic nature of that win, what it means to the franchise, the record-setting way in which the Thunder did it. We'll talk about all of that because I think that is far more meaningful than like a line-by-line breakdown because, there's no game after this, right? They accomplished their goals, and the real feat is not necessarily how they won the game, but that they won the game, right? It was the victory that was all that mattered. But we can go back to the game. Early, the Pacers, I think, came to play. They were ready. And Halliburton in particular was red hot from three. He made 3 early threes and then went down with that Achilles injury. How much do you think that injury impacted both the Pacers and the Thunder?
I mean, first of all, I think everybody, Pacers, Thunder, NBA fans, analysts, everybody watching that game hated to see that. Felt terrible for Halliburton, and he has had such an incredible playoff run. Truly felt awful for him. As far as like the game from there, the Pacers kind of rallied after that. The Thunder were up 2 at that moment. Halliburton was red hot, hit those 3 deep, almost logo threes. But they kind of rallied, and I think it just kind of like shook both teams there for a little bit because, you have a certain defensive, scheme and identity that's kind of built around Halliburton. And so like kind of everything gets shifted. And of course, those guys are going to rally and play hard, and they've got a deep, talented team. So that first half, they not only stick around, they take the lead right before the halftime buzzer when Nembhard hits that step back 3. But I think in the second half, who knows what would have happened had Halliburton stayed healthy. I still feel like the Thunder probably win this game because they're at home and they played so good. The defense just tightened up in the second half. The defense for the Thunder was just unbelievable. And, they started hitting threes, and that made a big difference. So yeah, obviously it affected the game. Would it have been a different result had he not been hurt? We'll never know.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, you can play through the scenarios of what would have happened if Halliburton played a full game, especially the way that he had started. He'd started the game so well, and he has been a difference maker for the Pacers all postseason. But at the same time, him being in changes everything about the complexion of the game, both for the Pacers and for the Thunder, and how the Thunder defend, how the Thunder attack the Pacers. So it really is impossible to play out the scenarios, but certainly it was a huge loss. And watching the game, seeing just the emotions of Halliburton when he realized that it was a serious injury when he went down, awful way to start the game. And I think everybody in the Thunder included had to figure out a way to sort of move on from that point because even Shea, after the injury happened, of course, they made the play to get that fast break basket, but he sprinted back down the other side of the court, and he was the first person there, aside from a trainer, to check on Halliburton. I think that says a lot about who Shea is as a player as well.
Yeah, I love seeing that. That is just Shea. We all have seen Shea up close and personal if you've been following the Thunder at all, and he's been just such high character, high class, every single moment on and off the court. And so I was not surprised at all to see Shea rush over in that moment and check on Tyrese Halliburton and make sure, I hate to say to make sure he's okay because he wasn't okay, but just to, go over and see how he was doing. And just a very, very classy moment to see from Shea. But expected, not surprised.
Yeah. And then if we look at that third quarter, because that really was the difference maker, the Thunder trailed by a point going into the half after that Nemhard 3, as you noted. And that kind of sucked a little bit of the energy out of the building after the Thunder had taken a lead and it looked like they might take a lead into the half. But that third quarter was just prototypical Thunder basketball and really the way they had played in the playoffs, where they put the clamps down on defense. They were everywhere. They were winning every loose ball and forcing so many turnovers. They had 5 steals in that quarter alone. They forced 7 turnovers and had a 14-point margin in that one. And that really is, the shots fell a little bit better, but they were just 5 of 13 from 3, and Shea was 1 of 5 from 3. Dort was 1 of 4 from 3. It was the defensive identity that allowed the Thunder to extend that lead and build that lead in the third quarter, which I think is a fitting way for them to set the stage in that fourth quarter to seal the victory.
Yeah, I think it was incredibly fitting that the reason that the Thunder won their first title in a Game 7 of the NBA Finals was because of their defense first. That was absolutely, the bedrock of this team. The formula was Shea is going to get you 30 points. Dub's going to probably chip in about 20. A couple of role players are are going to chip in any given night, and then the defense. And that's what we saw, especially in that third quarter. In the second half, the defense was just smothering. It was so hard for the Pacers to get shots off. And of course, the turnovers, I believe they scored 18 points off of turnovers in the third quarter. And I mean, that's the game. And that's really pretty much the Thunder's title, was that third quarter and the defense.
Yeah, and it was a lot of like what they did in Game 1. They forced a lot of turnovers, but they couldn't end up scoring points off of those turnovers. This time they forced 23 total turnovers in the game and scored 32 points off of those turnovers. That was the difference in the game. But I also want to talk a little bit about some of the individual performances. And we'll start with Shea, who was named NBA Finals MVP, and they'll talk about more on what that means as far as historical significance in just a moment. But you're going to look at his box score. And I think some box score fans have already kind of labeled him, typical Shea game. The only reason he scored 29 was because he got to the free throw line 12 times. But, his 8 of 27 and his 2 of 12 from 3 really do need to be set aside, because I think Shea had an incredible game. He had 12 assists and 5 rebounds. He was really reading the defense well to take what the Pacers were giving to him. That's why he took 12 threes. It wasn't because he was just chucking up threes. He was trying to attack the defense in the way that they were framed up to try to loosen them up on the inside. But once he did drive, he was really focused. He was kicking the ball really well and finding people. And he had just 1 turnover, 12 assists and 1 turnover. What do you want to add about Shea's game?
I think you're exactly right. I think that Shea was spectacular in Game 7. And, I know that you can look at the shooting splits and say he wasn't efficient. But bottom line, he scores almost 30 points. And in a Game 7, Game 7s are notoriously, look at the totals, point totals, historically for Game 7s. Defenses tighten. It's tough to get buckets. You will take points any way you can. So Shea got 29 and it was off a bunch of shots. That's fine, because they needed all 29. But more importantly, he takes so much defensive attention. And when he drives and they throw bodies and he finds the open man, and those open men pay it off with shots, Shea, I just thought, read the game and played the game so well. And he was in complete control of that game. It was defense, and it was Shea driving, kicking, and scoring. So to end up with 29 and then 12 assists and 1 turnover, who cares about shooting splits? Shea was spectacular.
Yeah, and let's talk about J-Dub. I think J-Dub's first half numbers weren't great. He did score 5 points and have 3 assists, but in the second half, he played much better in the second half. He ended up putting 15 points in the second half. He had 2 steals, I think J-Dub really rose to the occasion in that third and fourth quarter.
Yeah, I thought J-Dub was great in the third and fourth quarter and when the Thunder needed him. And the question mark coming into the playoffs was, can J-Dub be that secondary scorer? Can he be that secondary star? He's done it in the regular season. Can he do it in the playoffs? And I think now, when you look back on this playoff run in totality, J-Dub proved absolutely 100% that he is worthy to be that second star and second scorer and second playmaker that the Thunder need next to Shea.
Well, and then the third of the big three, Chet Holmgren, who I think had struggled offensively over the course of this series, also had an incredible second half. He didn't miss a single shot in the second half. He was 4 of 4, including 1 of 1 from 3. But his defense was absolutely insane. He had 4 block shots in the second half alone. It seemed like any time that the Pacers were getting into the paint, that Chet was disrupting everything on the interior.
Chet was a beast defensively. Say what you want about his offense. Say what you want about his scoring being up and down. Chet's defense was really, really game-changing. Obviously, Dort, Caruso, Kaysen, Dub, all those guys. But Chet broke the NBA Finals Game 7 record with 5 blocks. And it felt like he deterred so many more shots than that. He was everywhere defensively. And throughout these playoffs and throughout these finals, Chet's defense and his rebounding have been so big. The impact on winning, whatever about the points and the scoring, obviously, his ceiling is so high. He's going to improve. He's going to get better. I completely believe in his shooting ability and his scoring ability. The man missed 3 months this year due to a hip fracture and came back. And when you look at not only the defense at the rim, but the versatility, being on an island with these Pacers guards and shutting those down, it wasn't just the rim deterrence. It was the fact that he can match up and switch as well as he does. Chet was everywhere. And, the Thunder don't win this championship without Chet and his defense and his rebounding and on scoring nights, the scoring nights as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the one block that stood out most to me was his 5th block. It's late in the fourth quarter. Pacers had cut it to 14. TJ McConnell was back in the game. Of course, TJ McConnell went absolutely nuts in that third quarter to keep the Thunder from making it a 30-point type lead. And then everybody on the Thunder had struggled to contain TJ McConnell, but Chet had that huge block with about 4.5 minutes to go in the game that I think really set the stage for the Thunder to close that one out. So huge props to Chet. What an incredible game that he had and rose to the occasion. And the last person I really want to talk about is Lou Dort.
Yeah.
Lou Dort was everywhere defensively. He was hounding the Pacers on the perimeter, but that's no surprise. I specifically want to talk about that moonball 3-pointer with the shot clock running out. It was a very close, tight game at that moment. But when that shot went in, and it took about 7 minutes for it to reach Earth after he launched it into the sky, I was like, the Thunder I think they're going to win this one. When that shot went in, I felt a lot better.
I agree. It's one of those, if you're an opposing fan in that moment, if you're a Pacers fan, that's always the kind of shot where okay, it's not our night. If Lou Dort is hitting a buzzer beater 3 that I tweeted out would have hit the scoreboard at Cowboys Stadium if he was a punter, basically. That shot was just, if you hit that shot, you feel pretty good about your chances and the way things are going for the rest of the game. And just such a cool moment overall for Lou Dort from being undrafted. And he talked about this last night. 6 years ago was the worst night of his life because he wasn't drafted. And here he is starting and making a huge impact for an NBA championship team. Just like the full circle of Lou Dort and his development and how he's improved as a player from undrafted to NBA champion is just remarkable.
Yeah, and Dort also had 3 steals and 7 rebounds, including 3 offensive rebounds. I mean, the hustle on that guy was incredible. And I don't think, again, the Thunder win a championship without Dort. And you could probably run down the line of the players who contributed not only to this game, but at different points in the playoffs and in this series. I think basically every contributor had a moment in this series where they helped the team have that edge to win. Like Wiggins had a big game. Caruso's had his mark on a number of games, and in particular in this game, Caruso and Wallace both had 3 steals. Kaysen hit 2 really big threes. He had a great game, and between Dort, Caruso, and Wallace, they combined for 9 steals. That's just an incredible perimeter defense that absolutely took the Pacers out of their game.
Yeah, shout out especially to Kaysen Wallace. He's been the youngest playoff rotation player for, I believe, the last 3 rounds. He's 21 years old, and, offensively, he's been up and down in the finals, but he's had a couple of big impact games in these playoffs. And I think game 7, he made a couple of huge buckets, like the 3 he hit. Then he had a steal and a fast break bucket. He scored 5 straight points. And again, every point felt big. I thought Kaysen was great. Caruso absolutely showed, his veteran championship experience throughout these playoffs and why the Thunder went out and got him. I think it's cool that obviously the Thunder won, on the backs of the big 3 for sure. Shea, Dub, and Chet were incredible throughout this playoff run. But it seemed like every single player had moments throughout these playoffs, whether it was an Aaron Wiggins game, a Kaysen game, Lou Dort, like we talked about, Alex Caruso, Hartenstein, even J. Will coming off the bench against Jokic. Kenrich had some really nice moments. So I thought it was really cool that all these rotation guys, for all the talk about the depth and, maybe even some criticism that Mark Daignault got for playing so many guys, it seemed like almost everybody had moments throughout this playoff run where they made an impact on winning.
Yeah, well, very well said. And what a team win for the Thunder. And that's exactly what Jay attributed his MVP award at the end of the game. He said, this is an MVP for me, but it's also for the team. I wouldn't be up here if it weren't for the team. And in fact, that's what he said after that was, here, teammates, you take the trophy and pass it around because I want to share in this award with everybody who helped contribute to it. So what a season, what a game, and what a way for the players that have contributed all season long outside of SGA and J-Dub to step up and have huge games in these NBA finals. They rose to the occasion at every moment where they had to. And in particular in this series and in this game, even after Halliburton went out, the Pacers gave their best punch. This wasn't the Pacers laying down after Halliburton went out. They came to play. They didn't let that faze them. They kept fighting. They kept making shots. And the Thunder had to go and win this game. And that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, they absolutely did. This wasn't a game where the Pacers were going to roll over, even if Halliburton went down. They were going to fight. They've proven this throughout this playoff run. And at points, it felt like, okay, if you're a Thunder fan, sure, OKC is the better team. Sure, OKC won 68 games and the point differential all time, all those things. But it almost felt like, are the Pacers a team of destiny? Watching their playoff run, did the 2012 Thunder team have to go up against, an overdue LeBron and the Heatles? And in 2025, when they reach the finals again, did they have to go up against the team of destiny? Are you fighting destiny? And ultimately, this Pacers team, I think you've got to give them all the props and kudos in the world. They had such a great run, an absolutely worthy finals team. And I think they should be celebrated. And I hate to see Halliburton go down or for it to end like that. But they are talented. They're deep. They were not going to give up. They were going to fight till the end. We even saw the Benedict Mathurin run there in the fourth quarter where Thunder fans probably got a little uncomfortable again. Once it got to 10 points, it felt like the game was over, but they kind of go on a run. They get a bunch of free throws, and they got a little nervous again. But ultimately, the Thunder proved throughout the regular season that they were the best team in the NBA, and they proved last night that they were the best team in the NBA in the postseason and throughout this entire run of 2024, 2025. And the Thunder are absolutely deserving and worthy NBA champions.
Yeah. And of course, they were led by the best player in the NBA this season. And with his finals MVP award, Jay joined some elite company with players who won a regular season MVP, a finals MVP, and a scoring title in the same season. Shay's the second youngest player to ever achieve that feat. And the other players on this list, I think most NBA fans have heard of, like Kareem, LeBron, Jordan, Shaq, Kevin Durant, Kobe Bryant. Stephen Curry, and Will Chamberlain. So pretty good company.
Pretty good company. This is one of the all-time greatest individual seasons we've ever seen in NBA history. All those names you mentioned, what Shea did this year between winning the scoring title, winning MVP, winning Western Conference Final MVP, regular season MVP, 68 wins, the fact that he finished third in the NBA and steals and blocks put together, so you see his two-way dominance. Shea was absolutely the best player in 2024, 2025, regular season and postseason. There's a reason why he won MVP, finals MVP, and why the Thunder won the championship. Shea is the biggest reason. And going back to what you said just a few minutes ago, I think it was the ultimate, classic Shea moment that he wins finals MVP and he immediately credits his teammates, and he basically shares the finals MVP with Jalen Williams, and has Jalen hold the trophy up, and he has every single teammate pass it around and touch it and hold it, because he says this is a team accomplishment. That is so Shea, and I think it encapsulates not only Shea, but what his leadership means to this team. It is team first. It is all about the team. That is Shea, and that is the Thunder. So that was just really, really cool to see in real time. And, to see an international audience, to see what Thunder fans have kind of known all along about SGA.
Absolutely. And I think some other players, I won't name names or whatever, but they'll pay lip service to giving credit to their teammates. But that's Shea. That's genuine. That is who he is. I think he knows he's really good at basketball, and that's, I think, one of his famous little quotes in a post game where he said he's pretty good at basketball. But I think he genuinely understands how much his team means to his success. I think he has now etched himself into that category of favorite OKC player of all time.
Yeah, so I never thought that Russell Westbrook would, not have that title. And Russell Westbrook, for a lot of fans, will still have that title. Because look, Russ was incredible, and he was loyal, and he stayed, and that means a lot. And he will have his jersey retired, probably get a statue at the new arena, and all those things. But what Shea has done, bringing a title to Oklahoma City and being, the leader that he is and the talent that he is, like, this is the greatest individual season in Thunder history. From his individual accomplishments to the team accomplishments to the title. Shea's a Hall of Fame lock right now. He is 26 years old. He won a title before Michael Jordan or LeBron did, age-wise. And, they're set up to win for so long. So Shea's accomplishments are only going to grow and grow. So I think, I don't know if he's, the percentage of fans that are going to say Shea's their favorite or, best or greatest or anything like that. But for me, when you look at greatest player, like, you could argue maybe KD was the most talented as his peak. You can make the argument. And, Russ was loyal, and he kind of embodies the Thunder in so many ways. But when you look at greatest, the MVP season and winning the title, it's going to be hard to top Shea now. It's going to be really, really hard to top Shea.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned something else that I think will segue is to the future. Now, certainly the Thunder get to enjoy this championship for a full year, right? They're going to be the defending champions until next year when they hopefully win it again. But the Thunder are built for success, and we'll record some future pods where we really get into the details of the contracts and what the Thunder have to do in this offseason. But the crazy thing about the way this team is constructed is that everybody the team wants to bring back, except for any roster limitations, they can bring back.
Yeah, it's nuts. This entire team, if they want to bring him back, can be back next season. It's wild. Oh, and they're adding Nikola Topic, who would have been a top 3 or 4 pick in last year's draft had he not been hurt. AJ Mitchell is going to be healthy again, and he looked great before his injury. And they're adding either the 15th, 24th, some sort of combination, or maybe they move up or trade out, who knows. But if they want to, they can add basically a late lottery pick to this team as well. Maybe they make a trade, who knows. But if they just brought back this exact same roster and made zero moves, they kicked the can for the draft down the road, they should be better. Now, health, obviously, they weren't very healthy during the regular season, and they still won 68 games. Thankfully, they were healthy throughout the playoff run. But as far as this team's talent goes, they should be better next year. Chet should be better. Dub should be better. They're young. Kason Wallace should be better. Shea's just 26. He's just now entering his prime. The collective prime of this team is still a couple of years away, which is just nuts to think about because they've already won a title. And that's the thing. Dynasty talk or not, it would be great if we see this team rack up a few titles, and it is absolutely there for the taking. We will see what the future holds. But the Thunder now have a championship trophy, a banner that will hang forever. Like, I think fans, if you gave them a true term, they wanted one. Throughout the first era, they wanted one. And when this next era started, like, if you could ask every Thunder fan, it's like, I'll take one. And that now forever, you can't take it away. The Thunder will always be champions. And hopefully we see more. But right now, just hooking them up the fact they have one is just pretty surreal and pretty amazing.
Yeah, well, I got to take myself back to, I think, the year after Westbrook was traded, and the Thunder brought in Chris Paul for the bubble season, and I think he had kind of made the Thunder better than they could have been after that Russ trade. But really early in that process, Sam Presti started forecasting that there may be a long road ahead. And in my mind, what I think he was saying is we may have to sit through 4 or 5 seasons where the Thunder win 20, 30, 40 games for us to build up enough assets to hit enough in the draft that we can actually build a sustainable contender. It happened way faster than I think he anticipated or really any Thunder fan anticipated. And I think the mindset about building that sustainable model was you need cracks at it, right? You need a roster that is good enough to compete because there are variables that happen in every season. There may be injuries that happen in every season and things that are outside of your control. So the more bites you have at the apple, the more opportunities you have to actually close the gap and win that final. But what happens if the Thunder really win that in their first attempt? Are you setting up the stage for a potential dynasty or multiple championships where you're at the very beginning of that sustainable run where you have the roster intact for multiple years?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Presti basically acknowledged that last night. He said, this all came together rather quickly. I don't think anyone was expecting how quick the Thunder would be in title contention and to win a title. I think, most people thought it was still a couple years away. Usually, young teams don't do this. Young teams do not win titles like this. This team has been an anomaly, and I think this team is set up better than any team since the Warriors and their run to win multiple titles. And there's so much talk about parity now. There's so much talk about, the new CBA and second apron and how that will, kind of restrict teams from being long-term winners. But the way the Thunder set up, their youth and their salary cap and how Sam Presti has carefully constructed this team is set up to win for a long time. Better than any team in a long time. The youth, the assets, the talent, the salary cap. We've got a winner in OKC for a long time, man.
Yeah. And I think every Thunder fan should, again, enjoy this victory. Go to the parade tomorrow. I think that they're projecting 650,000 people to show up for the parade tomorrow morning, or if you're listening to this after, maybe you've already been there. This is something to savor because for the city of Oklahoma City and the community, this is so meaningful. Very first professional championship in history, only major professional franchise that the city has. And as flyover country and an afterthought, the Thunder are a world champion and their home is in Oklahoma City, which is incredibly meaningful. But I'll tell you that Summer League is only a couple weeks away, and we're going to get to see Topic in Summer League, I expect. And I don't know, knowing what the Thunder are bringing back and the possibility for them to get even better next year, it's not going to take very long for me to get excited about the next season.
Well, what's cool is you don't have to wait that long. When your team goes to Game 7 of the NBA Finals, you literally go as far into the NBA season as you can, which means the offseason is shorter. So, we get to enjoy the draft with a couple of first round picks or maybe moves, and then summer league with Nikola Topic and whoever they pick. And then, it's not that long until training camp and preseason begins. And in that meantime, you have so much content, Thunder content to consume and enjoy. So it's really, kind of the dream scenario for Thunder fans, how all this has played out this season and going into next season. And just a credit to this Thunder team, man. They have been so fun to watch, so fun to cover, so fun to just kind of see this journey from the rebuild to winning a title. It's been absolutely incredible. I think the parade is going to be like an all-time moment for Oklahoma City. And I got to apologize. Actually, I'm recording this on my phone. I don't know how good my quality is. It's because I had to go pick up my parade credentials before they closed down. So apologize for that. But man, I am excited to be at the parade tomorrow as well.
Well, maybe to wrap this up, it's certainly been fun to talk about Game 7, the championship. I could relive this over and over and over again. And in fact, I've watched the Lou Dort three-pointer maybe 150, 200 times by now. But let's talk briefly about the draft, because the draft is on Wednesday. The Thunder have 2 picks. They're rumored to be looking to move up in the draft. The Thunder don't have any needs. Do you think the Thunder just take best available?
So a couple of things here. I believe the Thunder are likely targeting a couple of, 1 player, 2 players. They probably have a couple guys in mind. That's kind of what the Thunder do. They kind of lock in on guys that they like. They really wanted J-Dub that draft. They made sure they got him. They really wanted Cason Wallace, and they made sure they got him. They traded up 2 spots to make sure that they got Cason. So I would imagine there's a player or 2 they're locked in on, and if they feel like they need to trade up from 15 to, let's say, 12. 12 has been a really good spot for the Thunder, so let's just say 12. And they have the means. They have the assets. If it's, Cedric Coward or Thomas Sorber or Colin Murray Boyles, a player they really, really like, if they feel like they got to move up to go get him, they will move up to go get him.
Do you think who they get will be any indication about potential roster construction? Say they go get themselves a big. Is that an iHeart replacement or something?
I mean, you got to look at the possibility of an iHeart replacement, because that's the one question mark about the roster moving forward. iHeart will be back next year. But then after that, his role was so essential to this team's success. And, you probably won't be able to afford him in a couple of years, that team option for the 3rd year. We'll see what happens. They'll have options. There'll be some flexibility. Maybe they stick around. Maybe they work something out. But if not, you got to kind of think maybe that would be the one thing that the Thunder are looking at, like somebody to replace Hartenstein long term. So, but not necessarily. That said, the Thunder, they like talent. They like high character. They like people. And if that happens to be a guard, that happens to be, a wing, so be it. I would assume, though, bigs are definitely, what I would keep my eye on. But I've got kind of like a short list of players I think they'll probably be targeting. But yeah, it could be a possible clue for roster construction.
Yeah, were the names that you're thinking of the ones that you said, or are there some others?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that was kind of a spoiler. Yeah, I really like Thomas Sorber, incredible defender and passer, high character, high basketball IQ, which is like all the things the Thunder love. Not a great outside shooter, unfortunately, but he does a lot of the things that Hartenstein does, and he's 6'10", 6'11", with a 7'6" wingspan, defends the rim so well, and passes like I see a lot of things to like about the fit of Sorber as a potential Hartenstein replacement. But yeah, I'm also looking at Colin Murray Boyles. He's kind of like a Draymond Green light type of player. Maybe they would move up for Noah Esingwe and his high ceiling potential. Those are the guys I'm kind of looking at. I really like Cedric Coward as a scorer and a shooter as a wing, and he's got great measurables. Those are kind of my top guys. Maybe a Rasheer Fleming, maybe a Danny Wolf, maybe a Neat Clifford just as a plug-and-play wing. Those are the names I'm looking at.
And for the OU fans, just whet their appetite. I know the Thunder are not going to take Fears. It's very unlikely that even pull up high enough to get Fears. How high do you think Fears will go in the draft?
Oh, I think he's going to go to the Nets. I think he's going incredibly high. I think he's going to be like a top 8 pick. The Nets, I believe, have the 7th pick, if I remember right. So that's just kind of my prediction. I think he's going to the Nets at 7. Fears is awesome. Like, he's got such high potential. I wish him nothing but success, but I don't see that being, a guy that the Thunder move up and take. Last year I predicted they would take Nikola Topic if he fell, just because of the upside. You can't, pass that up. But now that, all their best bench players have been, guards, Casey Wallace, Alex Caruso, even AJ Mitchell, and potentially Nikola Topic. So I don't think if they were to move up, it would be for a guard. Like, the only guard-ish player I could see them taking would be Cedric Coward, and he's really more like a wing with his measurables.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think the Nets are at 8, but I've seen Fears go as high as 6 in some mock drafts. So who do you think is going to go number 1?
I'm going to see a surprise pick. I'm going to go out on a ledge here. Nobody's calling this. I'm going to say Cooper Flagg from Duke. In a shocking move, goes number 1 over Dylan Harper.
Oh, okay. Well, I think everybody can take those. Take that to the bank. Because Brandon said it was so, even though in a open question whether Cooper Flagg will go number 1 overall. All right. Well, Brandon, this has been a lot of fun to talk about Game 7, the championship. Anything else you want to add while we're at the highest point we could be in the NBA season?
I tweeted this out, but this is just kind of like my overall feeling right now. Like looking back, and I think a lot of people can relate to this. Like, as a kid growing up, I fell in love with the NBA and basketball because of Michael Jordan and the 90s Bulls. And maybe for some people it was the Lakers and Kobe, or maybe for some people it was like Larry Bird or Magic or whoever your team or your guy was growing up that made you fall in love with the NBA. Small town Oklahoma never would have imagined OKC getting a team at that point. That would have been pure fantasy. Like, the thought wouldn't even register because it wouldn't make sense. But you would play like your NBA games, like your video games, and you would maybe create a team and call them like the Oklahoma City Buffalo or Tornadoes or something like that. And you create your player. And here you are, fast forward all these years, and there's a team in Oklahoma who not only wins the championship, but ends up being the only team besides those larger than life Michael Jordan 90s Bulls to win 84 games and a championship, a historical run. And we got to witness it and enjoy it here in Oklahoma City. And I think that is an incredible feeling that we should all enjoy. No matter what happens from here on out, Oklahoma City will always be home to an NBA champion. And that is really pretty cool.
Yeah, totally agree. And everybody knew the Thunder would be good. They were the number 1 seed last year. There was pretty high expectations, especially as they started to rack up the wins, and they achieved that 68 win season going into the playoffs. I think the expectation was to win a finals, but there's a big difference between what you expect to happen, what the Thunder could do, maybe what they should do, and what they actually did. And they actually won a championship, and that is incredibly special. And Brandon, it's been so much fun to talk about every game this season for the Thunder, starting with the preseason to where we are now, and we'll shift into off-season mode in the podcast in the future. But for right now, things could not get any better. The Thunder won a championship, and boy, I could not be happier.
Yeah, man, this has been exciting. Like, for all the OG Thunder fans who've been following this team since the inception, and maybe like daily Thunder followers, like once Royce Young started this website all those years ago, and you were like in the comments in the community, and like this is kind of the Thunder have kind of built a community of fans and people that have followed this team, and it started probably locally. Now it's like an international audience watching this team. What a moment last night, and a feeling right now to see this team finally, overcome the hurdles that they've, from being so close in that first era, and then just injury and trial and trade and all those things that happened to winning it right now. It's like all those things that happened for Who cares? Like, who cares about Game 6 in 2016? Who cares about that anymore? The Thunder are champions now.
That's right. Well, again, Brandon, it's been a pleasure talking basketball all season with you. And thanks for all your hard work covering the team. You've certainly brought a great energy and had great tidbits. You're the best follow on Twitter as a Thunder fan. So really did enjoy recording all these podcasts with you this season.
Hey, thank you, John. I appreciate that. Truly, I appreciate all those kind words. And you, thank you for hosting this. This has been a lot of fun. Doing these podcasts all year. And thanks to everybody who's been listening and following along with us at Daily Thunder.
Well, we'll wrap it up there. That's all the time we have for today. Thanks for tuning in to the Daily Thunder podcast. I'm John Napier, host of the podcast, and he's Brandon Ribard, Daily Thunder beat writer following the world champion Oklahoma City Thunder. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to subscribe to the Daily Thunder podcast on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss any future episodes. And if you like what you hear, do us a favor and leave us a rating and review wherever you get your podcasts. And we'll be back in your feed soon.